Hi, Miss. Good morning. We are going to talk about question in frequency adverbs. Hi, Brian. How often do you cook?
I never cook.
How often do you visit your grandparents?
I never visit my grandparents.
How often do you wash the dishes?
I never wash the dish.
How often do you help your mom in the house?
I rarely help my mom in the house.
How often do you study English?
I rarely study English.
How often do you visit your girlfriend?
I rarely visit my girlfriend.
How often do you travel?
I often travel.
How often do you listen to music?
I rarely listen to music.
How often do you eat fast food?
I never eat fast food.
How often do you complain about your virtual classes?
I rarely complain about my virtual class.
How often do you go to the church?
I sometimes go to taste the crowd.
How often do you play with children?
I often play with children.
How often do you hug your parents?
I rarely hug my parents.
How often do you tell lies?
I never telex.
How often do you talk with your friends?
I often tell weeks to my friends.
How often do you eat healthy food?
I half eggs, half fuck.
How often do you do exercise?
I half slow earthshakes.
How often do you do your homework?
I sometimes do my homework.
How often do you watch TV?
I never watch TV.
How often do you put on makeup?
I often do the book hug. I never put of makeup. Next, I go to Richard Cordova. Often, how often do you cook?
I never cook.
How often do you visit your grandparents?
I rarely visit my grandparents.
How often do you wash days?
I sometimes wash the dishes.
How often do you your mom in the house?
I sometimes help my mom in the house.
How often do you study English?
I sometimes study English.
How often do you visit your girlfriend or boyfriend?
I sometimes visit my girlfriend.
How often do you travel?
I sometimes travel.
How often do you listen to music?
I always listen to music.
How often do you eat fast food?
I rarely eat fast food.
How often do you complain about your virtual class?
I rarely complain about my virtual class.
How often do you go for in the cruise?
I rarely go to the church.
How often do you play with children?
I rarely play with children.
How often do you hug your parents?
I rarely hug my parents.
How often do you tell
How often tell lies?
How often do you tell with your friends?
I sometimes uh, with, talk with my friends.
How often do you take healthy food?
I sometimes eat healthy food.
How often do you do exercise?
I often do exercise.
How often do your homework?
I always do my homework.
How often do you watch TV?
I always watch TV.
How often do you put up makeup?
I never put on makeup. Thank you.